Hey guys, SK here, back with another Clash Royale video. Hope you guys are all doing well. Today I'd like to discuss a topic that is very common in the 3.0 Xbow cycle community, and one that you guys ask me all the time. And the topic at hand is going to be Ice Spirit versus Electro Spirit in 3.0 Xbow cycle. And so the question of the modern day is whether we should be playing Electro Spirit or whether Ice Spirit is still the best spirit, as it historically always has been the most used and the original spirit in this deck. But I would say that recently, Electro Spirit has definitely seen a resurgence, and no pun intended, it's actually seeing a spike in use rates, and I believe Electro Spirit might actually be better than Ice Spirit in the deck right now. Let me explain why. Firstly, the meta is always an influential factor on things like these, and so if you're ever going to have, a bait meta, a graveyard meta, and all of those things, then it's just going to be more common that Electro Spirit will be better in certain matchups. But in the same vein, if you have a meta where it's a lot more beatdown and a bunch of tanks, then the Ice Spirit might actually be better. So in today's video, I'll just be discussing and dissecting the differences between these two cards while playing a grand challenge. I do have a very important quiz for university tomorrow, but you know what? I want to get a 12 win, so let's get this bread. So I believe that the primary difference in the cards, like I said, is their use cases against specific niche topics, or concepts, I guess, not topics. But if you think about it, bait is a pretty common overarching concept in this game, and definitely an archetype that is pretty dominant in quite a few situations. And so when you're playing bait, if you are in a bait meta, Electro Spirit is just a necessity. Log bait with the Evo barrel has two barrels that come in both sides, and having the Electro Spirit is just nice to full counter the decoy barrel, which you simply cannot do if you're playing an Ice Spirit. On the other hand, Ice Spirit obviously has a longer lasting freeze effect, and so what that means is that you're just going to be able to get a nice little freeze on many sorts of different cards, like beatdown tanks especially, giant, balloon, and all of this kind of stuff, because it's just going to be a question of, can you stall long enough on defense? Speaking of stalling, we are actually in a 3.0 mirror match right now. Actually kind of surprised that we're facing this, but I guess Xbow might be back, I'm not sure. I'll just do my best to win this mirror real quick, although he does have an advantage because Electro Spirit is actually better in the mirror match than when you're playing Ice Spirit, and the reason for that is because E-Spirit has the capability to just stun and chain onto everything. So, E-Spirit plus Log, as you can see, kills my archers right there. I couldn't do anything about that. That's actually kind of an annoying interaction, I'm not going to lie. And Ice Spirit just doesn't get as much chaining on different cards. So I feel like it's actually an advantage to have the E-Spirit in this mirror matchup. But again, it's still definitely winnable. I mean, I'm still kind of outplaying my opponent right now, and so we are doing a pretty good job of just staying alive and maintaining our damage lead. My opponent goes for a bit of a random fireball, so I'm just going to fireball him back and maintain this lead once more. Bit of a wasted E-Spirit there. And so I think I'll focus up on this mirror match because this is actually going to be pretty tense as we move forward, and then I'll continue talking about the differences between the cards in a little bit as well. So I think he's about to go Expo in the other side. Yes, he is. So we'll make sure we get a fireball off on the Knight plus Archer plus Bow as well. And he might go for some kind of spell too. He does get that E-Spirit, which is actually pretty dicey. As you can see, E-Spirit actually really threatening. I mean, if it chains onto things, which it has the capability to do so much more than the Ice Spirit, it's definitely going to cause problems. And so that's one of the other benefits of E-Spirit, actually, that you can just chain onto things randomly, where you might not be able to otherwise in other situations with the Ice Spirit, because it just chains less easily, It's kind of an obvious point, but it is still a fact at the end of the day. E-Spirit just chains much more efficiently than the Ice Spirit. So my opponent just gets a Fireball down, which is fine. I think I will just Fireball him back. And unless we do a big choke, that's actually a good Fireball because we do get to hit the Knight. Unless we have a big time choke, we should definitely get this dub. As you can see, E-Spirit plus Log, able to fully take out the archers, so kind of annoying, honestly. It's just a bit of a pain where if you don't have that capability in the mirror match, you're just going to be crippled. Let's make sure we don't die to this Xbow in the left side because he's kind of switching lanes. As you can see, that E-Spirit, if I'm getting all my troops down really early, because if I didn't get that Knight down early, I would have actually lost, because that E-Spirit chaining onto skeletons is such a threat. As you can see, though, the E-Spirit versus Ice Spirit, at the end of the day, I would like to say, it's not an objective metric of strength in the deck, and it's not going to necessarily guarantee a victory if you have the better spirit. Like, even against bait, you can win with the ice spirit. As you can see in the mirror, E-Spirit does have an advantage, but I was able to do a great job of the mirror match and beat a top 200 finisher in this first game right here. So, in summary, the benefits of E-Spirit are primarily meta-oriented, where in a bait and a graveyard meta, E-Spirit will be better. E-Spirit is also better at chaining onto things, and that does actually lead to some nice interactions where you can get an E-Spirit plus log, as you saw in the last match with my archers getting E-Spirit logged away, or in other situations you can go E-Spirit plus log to kill a bomber or a firecracker against Hog Rider Earthquake, for example, or against a drill deck that has a bomber, for example. So just lots of different use cases that you can kind of think of, and I would say that E-Spirit is definitely a very good spirit and the better spirit of the two. But does that mean that Ice Spirit cannot have success? Not necessarily. Ice Spirit can definitely still do pretty well in the game and in the meta right now. As you can see, that longer freeze was much appreciated just now, where I was able to just stun the cannon cart for longer, and so if I had an E-Spirit there, I would have definitely had to go skeletons on top of that as well. But because I'm playing with the Ice Spirit, I have the longer freeze. I was able to just kind of get away with a nice longer freeze and a good defense overall. This guy's playing a Goblinstein, pretty annoying, I'm not going to lie, but I think I'll get my Skellies down to force his ability. I don't want him to go for the ability on my tower, so he actually goes for a zap, but still, I mean, that's not going to get to the tower, that's all that matters. So this is kind of an OG bridge spam deck, I think. Goblinstein kind of back with the champion balances, I have to say, but yeah, Ice Spirit will definitely be better in this matchup. So I can't really think of too many scenarios where I would want the E-Spirit plus log or E-Spirit's chaining effect in this situation. Perhaps an E-Spirit could chain onto a Goblinstein monster and then the Doctor afterwards. That could be pretty useful. At the end of the day, though, that's not really an important factor, and the Ice Spirit longer freeze here will be much appreciated overall. And I think it's definitely going to be quite beneficial to have in this matchup. As you can see, my opponent just gets a pretty aggressive push off, but we get a nice defense, and he will have to respond to that archer, where we will get one hit. That's going to be a nice damage lead in both lanes. Now, I will say that this is going to be a long match, probably pretty boring, but also it's a good thing because we'll just have more time for me to yap and talk to you guys about random stuff. Mainly E-Spirit versus Ice Spirit, right? But right here, I'm going to get a defensive Expo down in the lane of the monster because I'm not going to break through no matter what I do, so I might as well just make sure I am setting up for defense and maintaining an advantageous position. Let's protect this Evo Archer as well. We should do a great job of doing, and we're actually going to go in now because we do have a Debo surviving. I could have played that one tile higher, perhaps. We'll get a Tesla down for this Goblinstein, and he's probably going to get a cannon cart down, so I'll predict that with my archers, and then get some Skellies for this bandit as well. That's a beautiful prediction. As you can see, this longer stun with the Ice Spirit will be very welcome. We'll get a last-minute log down to catch him off guard, and that's going to be a beautiful, beautiful Expo lock, and that was just a perfect sequence through and through. And as you can see, Ice Spirit is paying dividends in this matchup right here. I believe the opponent has an Evo Battle Ram in Cycle. Quite certain he's playing with the Evo Zap, Evo Ram. He also does not have a big spell. I have identified that, which is why I am leaning on these defensive Expos. This is a pretty common meta deck, even without the Goblinstein in the new age era, you could say. I mean, this was still pretty popular back in the day. We'll get a nice fireball off on that cannon cart, plus Goblinstein Doctor, and I think we'll just let this bandit connect to our Expo, let it go, or in the middle rather. And as you can see, this longer Ice Spirit stun on the Ghost plus both the Barbarians is just so welcome. It's just so comfortable to have that Ice Spirit on defense. My opponent has absolutely no hope of breaking through no matter what he does, unless I disconnect and literally just stop playing the game. And so this game is pretty much over. I'm not going to be super aggressive. I'm going to be passive and chill. I'm just going to play Principled. So you can see that, obviously, as it is demonstrable in this game, the biggest benefit of the Ice Spirit is its ability to stun for longer durations on the board against any defensive situation. And so it's very, very useful, and it's really nice in situations where you don't have to worry about the niche applications of an E-Spirit. For example, okay, why does that bypass? It's fine, I won't panic, I'll just get a last-minute fireball down and reset. That is going to keep the Tesla alive if I just get my knight down in front, which is huge, because now, again, like, even if you have situations like those, I encourage you guys to not panic. Just chill and deal with the situation at hand. He's going to be arrow cycling me, so I will begin my fireball cycle on him. And let's make sure we protect this Expo with a Tesla. Seems a bit counterintuitive, protecting Expo with Tesla instead of the other way around, but I would like to keep that alive. And yeah, that is definitely going to be GG's. He just went for the arrow so we can safely go for our archers down low. He does have an Evo Zap, actually. And as you can see, the Ice Spirit just comes in so clutch there. If that was an E-Spirit, I might have taken a Bandit shot, and I might have lost the game. But because we have the Ice Spirit, it's able to just defend, it stuns for longer, it freezes. We are now 10-0 in the GC, and Ice Spirit once again paying dividends. So I like the games we just played because they showcase the individual strengths of both the Ice and Electro Spirit in different circumstances. Of course, in the first game, my opponent was the one who had the Electro Spirit, and it definitely benefited him more than me to have that, but you guys were still able to see, again, the benefits of playing that Spirit. Now, as far as questions, I will say that objectively, right now, as the time I'm recording this, 15th October 2025, Wednesday, I sound like I don't even know, but it is better to play the Electro Spirit. Again, it is more suited in this meta, and just that capability of having multiple different chains where you can go E-Spirit to chain onto a bomber or a firecracker just lends itself to having more valuable interactions overall. That's not to say that the Ice Spirit is useless by any means, though. It's actually very strong, and I would not sleep on the Ice Spirit. I think you can definitely still play the Ice Spirit. As far as this match goes right here, I actually do believe that wall breakers are a pretty problematic card in the meta right now, and this looks like it's going to be Mega Knight wall breakers. And so in this specific circumstance, I would say that I'd rather have the Electro Spirit. And oh my goodness, let's not talk about the Xbow right there. My opponent might not even realize it though, actually, so we might be okay, but I feel like that was actually a decent Expo, provided I didn't misplace it, because, you know, wait, actually, this might be tech, because these minions are going to get in range of the tower, and okay, I actually might lose the game, we'll see. I think this defense should be okay. Let me make sure to log here, and I might take some wall breakers. Hopefully they're not evolved, but yeah, I'm gonna have to probably let them go. If he's smart, he splits wall breakers here, because if he goes in the same lane, I can just go knight on one of them, but yeah, that was a pretty tragic mistake. Nonetheless, we are outcycling the Mega Knight right now. I think what I'll actually do is just use this as a resource and eat those and go in, because yeah, that's a prince. My opponent is going to have to go for an Archer Queen on this Expo. He shouldn't have enough elixir for the Mega Knight. There's the Queen, like I said, and we'll protect this with a Knight. And then I think what my opponent wants to do is get Evo wall breakers on this Expo. So what I will do is get my Ice Spirit ready. Expo is indeed on the tower, which is lovely. And I'll just protect this Evo Archer to get those power shots off. And that's going to take good care of the Queen, and we will get a nice Expo connection that will lend us the victory here in the damage. I don't know why I'm talking like this, guys. I don't know. It's 8 o'clock. I just had ethics. I just had 7 hours of university, so don't judge too hard. But yeah, this game's going to be another 5-minute game. I know you guys probably like this, actually. Probably enjoy seeing good Expo defense for 5 minutes, but I did want to get some 3-minute game just to have a nice discussion video where I can just talk about Ice Spirit while winning a grand challenge. But yeah, I would say that the benefits of the Ice Spirit are, I don't know, I mean, I would honestly rather have Electro Spirit in this matchup, and he actually has a Goblin Curse, which is crazy, because I did not expect to see the Goblin Curse ever. Like, that card is dead. Let's face it, that card is a dead card right now. I mean, no one is playing it, and for a good reason. Like, Goblin Curse is just kind of gone without the damage amplification, but I guess my opponent didn't get the memo. He would like to still play the Goblin Curse, and now, you know, we can't have that fun fact. Did you know the Goblin Curse has a 20% damage amplification, which, you know, 20% might have actually been too much. Maybe that's a really large amount. Let's get a really good fireball here, by the way. That's going to connect, and that gets the well played. We'll let these wall breakers connect, speaking of connections. And he's going to actually overcommit with those minions behind. Hopefully that wall breaker doesn't kill my archers. Okay, perfect. And yeah, now we do have the damage lead. And again, I'm just going to reset. He has no Evo MK, so I feel like Debo is actually a good play here. I would not recommend going defensive Expo in the Mega Knight Wallbreakers matchup if they have Evo MK in cycle, because it's going to be a bigger threat on defense, and so when you have big threats to defend, I prefer having Tesla stacks instead of defensive Expos, just a personal preference of mine. But again, here the Ice Spirit's longer freeze will definitely be welcome, and we'll get an Evo Tesla on all of this. And Evo Tesla is so good against those wall breakers. My opponent goes for a very premature Queen ability, and yeah, he's just kind of struggling here. I think what we can do is actually go in, because we do have Evo Archers in cycle, and so even if my opponent's able to get arrows off on them, I still feel like they will get a lot of value, and I believe I actually did miss that Archer Queen. If I hit that, that would have been probably tower down, because that Queen would have been dead right now, but It's all good. I believe my opponent did just go for his arrows, so these archers have a lot of potential value. Let's make sure we protect everything here, and everything is all fine and well. We are totally good. We are covered. We are accounted for. I think that's a good defense. Honestly, Ice Spirit was not that bad this game, I have to say. Like I said, I feel like inherently I prefer E-Spirit because it's just able to get that chain onto wall breakers. E-Spirit plus log is a big deal, but at the same time, Ice Spirit was really nice on defense against the Mega Knights, against the Queens, even against the Princes and Bandits, so I guess it's kind of a net wash in matchups like these where you have use cases for both Ice and Electro. Either one can work. So at the end of the day, I agree, nerf Miner, by the way. Miner is broken, unironically. At the end of the day, it's really up to you which spirit you want to use. I would like to provide a bit of a conclusion to this question and debate that I'm talking about right now. And I would say that if you only have Ice Spirit leveled up, you know, classic Expo cycle, always played with the Ice Spirit, then feel free to stay with the Ice Spirit. This is either 2.6 Hog or Balloon cycle, both of which okay, it's going to be 2.6. I feel like the Ice Spirit will actually be more welcome in this matchup because Electro Spirit is nice, especially against the Evo Skellies and maybe to even Chain. But the Ice Spirit's longer freeze is so nice, and I believe that Ice Spirit Skellies full counters a Hog. Otherwise, Ice Spirit Skellies log definitely does. Meanwhile, E-Spirit Skellies will never full counter Hog. I know that from experience because I play E-Spirit on top ladder right now. But if you can, if you haven't invested in either spirit and you're deciding, then I think you can actually stick with the E-Spirit and level it up because E-Spirit has been the better spirit for this entire year pretty much. It's definitely just superior, and you will not regret it if you invest in the Electro Spirit. That being said, again, if you have Ice Spirit maxed, you don't have E-Spirit, you know, I get questions like this all the time. I actually did want to make this video because you guys always ask me in my streams, you know, SK, which one should I actually go for? Like, what spirit is better? If I have a level 13 E-Spirit or level 15 Ice Spirit, should I be sticking to the Ice Spirit? Or, yeah, like, I get questions like those, or should I still play E-Spirit even if I don't have it leveled up? All sorts of stuff like this. Honestly, I would say that the differences are so negligible that you will only see the E-Spirit's benefit in a marginal amount of matchups. And the other thing is that 3.0 is a very balanced deck, so the negatives of playing the E-Spirit, you know, the slightly less duration on the stuns, and the fact that you might not always get the value you're looking for, isn't necessarily too impactful in the big picture. Like, you're not really going to be losing games because you don't have that 5% benefit that an E-Spirit is able to provide that an Ice Spirit doesn't. Like, as you can see, I was still able to beat that 3.0 mirror match where you are supposed to have the Electro Spirit in the mirror match, and it wasn't enough for my opponent, of course. It didn't actually end up meaning anything. So, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter that much, and I'd say that it's okay to just stick with your personal preference. I feel like he's going to go for an Ice Spirit here. Okay, yeah, he's just lost this game. The 2.6. 2.6 is a really annoying matchup that I actually am not very fond of playing against, but as you can see, the Ice Spirit was very nice on defense here. Definitely better than the E-Spirit would be, although he does have the Evo Skellies. Wow, very obvious Musketeer right there. But yeah, I feel like it's not really that impactful to the point where it's life or death, whichever one you have. In the same vein, though, I would say that E-Spirit is better in quite a few scenarios, and I feel like it will remain this way for quite a while. You know, in general, most new cards E-Spirit is better against, but again, Ice Spirit, remember the use case, it's better against beatdown, it's better when you want that longer stun, and it's just nicer overall. But that is a very nice 12-0, and as you can see, Expo Cycle with Ice Spirit can very much still work.